And hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pumpkin Copter Cast, the only video game show. So today I'm joined by a person who has developed an almost unbreakable steel-like tolerance to the what can only be described as poison that is most of online video gaming talks. I'm here with Dawnya, who runs the Twitter account known as Shitty Gamer Takes.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So we'll start with just the basic introduction of you.
Yeah, so you pretty much summed it up. I'm the person that runs the Shitty Gamer Takes account. It'll be 2 years in September. And yes, I've grown quite a tolerance to, I wouldn't say tolerance, maybe more of a what's the word, jaded outlook towards oh, thanks, phone. That's great. That's what I want to happen. Towards the gaming community. But yeah, I'm just a 20-something-year-old that lives in Missouri that just certain circumstances came together, and now I run this account, and it has been a roller coaster so far. So
Okay. So we'll start with how did you discover video games for yourself?
So my parents play video games. So they kind of did it, and so when I was about 4 or 5, I think, is the first time I really remember playing video games. We had a Super Nintendo, and we had, like Super Mario Brothers, and I don't remember which one it was though. We had A Link to the Past. That's the game that I remember most. And so I remember I'd watch them play, and I would try to play, but since I was little, I wasn't very good. And I've been doing game-like stuff for longer though. My my maternal grandfather, he actually taught me how to use a computer. So like older computers, I can't remember what model it was, but I was about 2 whenever I learned how to kind of click like around on computers and hit buttons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been doing, kind of like toddler computer games since I was about that age. But my first console was the SNES, and I remember we got like a Nintendo 64 a few years later. So yeah, I've been since the single digits, and it's always been something that I've had a lot of fun with. Is something that I can enjoy with my parents, and I can enjoy by myself, and we all still enjoy video games. My parents still play video games too, so it runs in the family, I guess, is where I'm going with this.
Okay. And what would you say is your favorite game and/or games growing up?
Growing up, well, it depends on when we start growing up, because Jack 2 has been my favorite video game since I was 11, 12, 13. When did it come out? I was early teens or preteens when that game came out, and that's been my favorite game pretty much since. When I was younger than that, and this is going to be like the most basic answer, but we had Ocarina of Time on Nintendo 64, and
Mm-hmm.
I loved that game. We actually had the Nintendo like guide book, and it had all of the uh like artwork and stuff that was showing like Link, and there's specifically one picture that I love so much, and it is of um Link and Sheik. So it's like Zelda as Sheik. And they're fighting a bunch of. I should know what they're called. I feel like a fake gamer not knowing. It's the skeletons. Skeleton guys.
Stalfos.
Yes, Stalfos. Thank you. I was gonna say Skeletors, and I was like, that's not even close. Yes, Stalfos. So they're all fighting Stalfos, and they're like back to back. And I remember I cut that picture out of the guidebook and put it up on my wall because I loved Link and Sheik so much. But yeah, and I actually, Legend of Zelda games were kind of my OG, and then Jak and Daxter came around in the PS2 era, and now Jak 2 is my favorite video game, and no one quite understands why. I don't even understand why. I just love it so much. So nothing compares to Jak 2.
Okay. And to answer your question, it came out on October 14th of 2003.
So I would have been 2003, you said?
Yes.
So 2000, I was 8. I would have literally the day before I turned 11. You said the 13th, right?
14th.
Oh, that was the day I turned 11.
Oh.
So, cool.
Okay, and what would you say is your favorite game and/or games now?
Jak 2. So right now, putting aside Jak 2, because there's nothing that is better than Jak 2 and the Jak and Daxter series as a whole. I don't care if anyone thinks I'm wrong; they can fight me on it. I like, like games like Persona. Personas 4 and 5 are great, even with their somewhat problematic aspects. I love those games dearly. Things like that. It's a weird because I always feel like it's a very awkward question to answer that because there's so many games I play almost passively and I don't even really think about them. So it's like, okay, like for example, I play a lot of Fortnite, but I wouldn't say that Fortnite's like one of my favorite games.
Mm-hmm.
But Fortnite takes up a lot of my video game playing time. So it makes me feel really weird to answer that question now. But like Persona games, I still really like Legend of Zelda games, even though I still haven't been able to play Breath of the Wild because I am too poor to afford a Switch. And I like the Fallout series. Even the bad ones. I actually liked 4 a lot. And I know this is almost blasphemy, but I own 76, and every time I play it, I actually have a pretty decent time. But I play it with friends, so that's probably another reason why it's kind of enjoyable, because we're all playing it almost to laugh at it. Like, we bought it because we're like, this is going to be so bad. This is going to be so bad. Let's just go play this bad game together. And then we're like, oh, this is kind of fun. Look at my house. So things like that. I don't really have any preferred type of genre anymore. Although I am not very fond of... Okay, I know I just said that I like Fortnite, but a lot of first-person shooters I'm not super good at. Actually, I'm terrible at Fortnite. I don't know why I'm saying that. I'm bad at first-person shooters, so I try not to say they're on my top list, but I still keep trying to play them. I'm actually playing Borderlands now for the first time, actually. So I'm having fun with that. Sorry, that was kind of a long-winded answer to the question.
That's fine. So now we can get into the meat and taters of this interview. So
Taters.
So if in some like theoretical scenario, Shitty Gamer Takes was able to have like a booth at a convention and people like, were walking by, like what would be the rundown you'd give them about it?
Like the sales pitch of it?
Yeah.
So basically the sales pitch I give everyone is that it's supposed to be kind of a documentation Twitter. Because I think a lot of people... Heck, am I allowed to curse on here?
If you want to, go ahead.
Okay, I was just about to say the word hell, and I was like, wait, I should ask. I was gonna say, I have takes that are literally about like, oh, it isn't that bad. Everyone receives like this. It's like it isn't bad, and it should just be expected to be a part of the community to face the things that a lot of people face. So and a lot of people have come to me and have said like, thank you for making this account so I can give them the account to see like, no, this level, it isn't just a tiny thing. It isn't just something that can be shrugged off. Like there's a lot of really toxic and awful mindsets that are at play in our community, and we should do something we should at least acknowledge it, if not condemn it for what it is, which is bad. So that's kind of the sales pitch, is like almost, I don't want to say educational, but I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I'm sorry. But yeah, like a documentation of it, for future scholars to look into and see. Along with, on top of that, some really funny commentators and some wonderful threads that pop up from time to time, and some hilarious gamer terminology. I still kind of want to make a shirt that says, have you beat the ruby weapon? Because that's like one of my favorite takes. It was just so stupid. I love it. So yeah, that would be the booth, would be me waxing poetic about the actual point of it, and also some really shitty t-shirts with some like gamer taglines on them that you can wear ironically.
Okay. And so you mentioned it a bit before, but when did you create the Twitter account?
So like I said, it was going to be 2 years ago in September. And basically what had happened was Ian Miles Chong, is that how you pronounce it? Chong? I don't want to like mispronounce it. That's something. But he, as many people are probably aware of and remember, back when PewDiePie did his, I'm just gonna say the N-word on a live stream. And Ian was like, he just had a heated gamer moment. And actually, the idea originally was not mine. I was on Twitter, doing what I do, and someone else kind of suggested it jokingly to this other person that I'm kind of friends with. And as like a goof, I did it because I was like, they were like, oh, that's funny. And I was like, I already did it. I didn't think it would last this long. But that's kind of where it started, was the whole. And then after that point, I was like, wait a minute. I can do more with this than just dunk on Ian for being god awful. And so from there, it flourished. And now we're here 2 years later.
Okay, so you mentioned a bit before that you created as like as sort of a documentary type Twitter account, but do you think is like part of the reason you have and still regularly post on that Twitter account? Do you just, because I've noticed a lot, like I've watched quite a bit of Jim Sterling stuff, and he's noted that some of the less than wholesome gaming practices he talks about in his show, they've been around so long, people sometimes get mad at him for continuing to talk about them. So do you think like part of you continuing to post it is to remind people that, this is not what the default of the gaming community should be?
Yeah, I think so. I'm getting it because it's an ongoing problem. And it's still something that people kind of, um, what's the word? Underplay and underestimate. So yeah, I don't have, there are times where I think about not doing it anymore because I think that at this point, the point has sort of been not proven. I think this is kind of an idea that can't necessarily be proven in the way that I'm talking about it, um but there's still a part of me that like wants to keep doing it because there's so many instances of like notable gamers doing bad things and people run to their defense and say like, no, this is actually super okay. So it's a part of me is like, well, no, it's not. And plenty of us know that it's not. And I get, like I said, I get a lot of people that thank me for doing it, and also just having the account as like a quote unquote community too.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people have like actual conversations and threads on each post, and there are some that have been there for quite a while since the beginning of the account, or very close to the beginning. So there's also a part of me that doesn't want to like leave that or like take away that from the people that seem to enjoy it so much. And I enjoy it sometimes too. Those people probably make the account worth running for me even more than my own my own reasons for starting it.
Okay. And like, what's the criteria you use for like the particular like bad takes you post on the account?
This is such a hard question to answer because I have criteria, but I also don't have criteria. So obviously, okay, like the whole Wolfenstein thing that we went through, actually going through right now because of the new game, but
Mm-hmm.
also back when the last new Wolfenstein game came out, um, people that are like, this is, how dare you be like, make America Nazi free again? That's, it's anti-Trump, like things like that. It's like, bruh, it's Wolfenstein. They've been doing this for a while, and people that were like doubling down and being like, no, they're yelling at Trump fans, and it's like, oh my god, like that is unequivocally like not only just shitty, but just like being a giant baby. Um, really, any kind of, so there's, the thing is that there's like shitty as in someone being unequivocally terrible, like that, like being like, or being incredibly anti-Semitic while saying things like that, and racism, and just general homophobia and transphobia, while trying to protect yourself as like a quote unquote gamer, and how like, the SJWs are trying to indoctrinate me into their agenda, and I just blah blah blah, like that is part of it. But there's also some that are like less intense than that too. I've posted in the past, like the I guess it kind of, maybe not. It had a little bit of had a tinge of homophobia, but the whole Nintendo Switch Lite take I posted a couple weeks back, where the guy, or the person I should say, it it was a guy, but I censored them. Um, they were like, these colors are too girly. Where are the colors for the straight men? Like that is shitty, but it's also kind of like funny in how it's shitty. So there really is a wide range of things that I can put on the account. I try not to do things that are too subjective, like someone just being like, I think Mario's not very fun, because it's like, okay, like, I don't okay, like that's literally your opinion, man. But when it gets to the point of like, if someone were to say something like, Mario makes everyone into a baby child. I hate Nintendo fans. They're all slur Nintendrones. Like that, I'd be like, okay, now you're just being a jerk about it. And that's shitty. So, like I said, there is criteria, but since I'm the only person running this account, and I do try to think about it from an outside perspective of, well, this is just subjective. Like, this isn't objectively bad, then I probably won't post it. But sometimes things just slip through where it maybe is a little bit more subjective to how I feel about something. But I don't have a laundry list or like a checklist, I guess is what I'm saying. I should, but I don't. And now we're here.
Yep. So you've mentioned this a bit already, but you do kind of have to. You seem to regularly dig through the garbage pile that is the majority of people in the online gaming sphere.
Mm-hmm.
So just you've mentioned like the community aspects, but you have to like boil it down. What is it that makes you want to like regularly post on the shitty gamer takes account, even though like there's still this constant like bile being spewed by people?
Well, like I said in the very beginning, I'm kind of jaded to it at this point, so it doesn't really affect me the way it affects other people's now, probably. So it really isn't as much of a chore anymore. And not only that, but I think a lot of people have to like, it's always been a little bit easier for me than other people, because not only did I live in like southern Missouri. I grew up around a lot of people that had kind of not so good takes. And this is like a very Midwestern white person thing to say, but you get kind of used to it. So like when I see that kind of stuff compared to other people, I think it's just a little bit easier for me to like see it and be stone-faced and not react the same way. And I say that, but there are things I've seen that absolutely disturb and disgust me, and it does make it a little bit more difficult to keep doing this. So I guess you're asking me like why I keep doing it, essentially.
Yes.
Because I'm doing it. I'm the type of person that if I set myself to do something, I don't really want to stop because other people have, like, quote unquote, disturbed me out of it. And it's kind of hard to do that anyway. So, like, I already have the momentum. I already have these people that enjoy this account. I enjoy running the account from time to time. So now it's just sort of like okay, like, this is just a thing I do now. And like I said, there are times where I think about like, man, I have other stuff I need to be doing and maybe I should stop. But it hasn't gotten to that point yet where I like have actually said like, okay, we're done. And there are just like I said, there are just so many awful people that keep doing awful things and people are like, yeah, it's fine. And no one wants to like stand up. Or well, there are people that do stand up. I shouldn't say that. That makes me sound like some kind of I'm such a martyr. Like, I'm not. But I guess it's just something that like is almost a part of the daily grind at this point. So maybe that's why. I honestly don't really know. I guess that's a question that doesn't have a true solid answer at this point.
Okay. And can you, to the best of your abilities, like recall the very first,
It was
shitty take
it
that
was
you
the
posted?
Ian Miles Strong one about PewDiePie having a heater gamer moment.
Okay.
That was the first take, and it's the whole reason the account got made.
Okay.
So thank you, Ian. You absolute anthill.
Okay, then. Now it's time for the question that everyone who's ever been on this show always understands perfectly, and there's never confusion of any type. So, Dawnya, in your opinion, is video games?
You sent me the list of questions, and I read this one, and I was like, huh, I don't know what is going on here. Is video games? Yes. Video games is yes.
Okay.
That's my answer.
And that brings us to the conclusion of this particular episode of the Pumpkin Copter Cast. I would like to thank Dawnya for joining me on the show and entertaining my delusions of video game show have.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And if any of the -7 people watching this or listening to this enjoyed it, if you liked what you did here, you can like and subscribe, all that good stuff. On the rare occasions I post anything worth paying attention to, you can follow me on the Twitters at TGorman83. And if for some crazy reason you decide you want to give me a money, you can go to patreon.com/thepumpkincoptercast and give me a money there. And Dawnya, is there anything you wish to plug before we sign out?
I would just like to plug also the Twitter takes. The Twitter takes? No, I could not run that account. The Gamer Takes account is twitter.com/gamertakes. And my main account is twitter.com/XO_pinkish heart. And that's where you can find me talking more. I actually talk plenty on the Gamer Takes account. Plenty of people tell me to stop, but I won't. I'm running that account for free. I'll say what I want. But yeah, this has been great. And yes, if you're listening, you should go to Pumpkin Copter Patreon and consider giving this some moolah, because we all got to eat, and you can't make podcasts if you don't eat. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and that brings us to the real conclusion of the show. Thank you all for joining us, and as I always say at the end of every show, have a gourd day.
I like it.